My name is Wanjiru. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a mother of three, and every time I say this, I explain myself. I have a son who is 3 years old, and in 2013, my husband and I lost a daughter at 20 weeks of pregnancy, and the next year we had a miscarriage. And so I count all as my three children. I'm a rainbow mom, and that means that he's somebody who has a child after previous losses. And we are currently living in Dubai with my husband. We moved here for work. We are Kenyans. In this video, I'm going to talk about my IVF journey, my IVF story. We went through the miscarriages and the loss of our daughter in 2013 and 2014. And in 2016, we decided to do IVF because the previous year I was diagnosed with blocked tubes. And so my gynecologist recommended IVF because she felt a laparoscopy would still not guarantee us conception. That is that even if we did go in and clear the blocked tubes, she was not feeling very confident about conception. And she did advise to us to see other doctors and we did that, and they all actually recommended IVF over the laparoscopy procedure. And so today I'd like to go into detail about IVF. It's a story I have never shared publicly. I have spoken about my work with Still a Mom, having lost babies, but I've never talked about IVF. And so IVF, we started IVF in 2016, and unfortunately it did not take. It wasn't successful. But if you've been told that IVF is something you need to do, please watch on and learn. We will talk about the step-by-step procedure, but we will also talk about the mental, financial, and physical toll it has on you so that you know how to be better prepared. And so let's talk about the step-by-step procedure. So the biology we know is that a man and a woman have unprotected sex. The egg and the ovum and the sperm meet and what they call zygotes, I think. And then so it implants itself into the uterine wall and grows into an embryo that becomes then a baby, and 9 months down the line we have a baby. And so in this case though, all this is done in the lab. Unfortunately, I know it sounds mechanical, and I promise you it's something I struggled with because it felt very unromantic and very impersonal. But unfortunately, for people who've been trying to conceive for a while, by the time you get here, you're ready for that procedure. And so they put you on some tests to see whether your uterus is okay, whether everything is okay before they get started. And when they do get started, what happened was that I was put on some hormonal care, and basically these are injections that I would go for every single day. So we would pass by Nairobi IVF Center every morning, and I would go for my injections, and then I would go to work. And we did this for about 2 weeks. The reason is this: they want to get many eggs from you as opposed to the one egg that you produce every month. So they're trying to get the eggs to grow and become many. And because IVF is about probability, you know, some eggs are not very well matured, others are not very strong, others are old. There's so many factors even about your age that come into play here. And so they're trying to get the most eggs and look for the best of the eggs and then go on with the procedure of making the embryos. And so this part, to be honest, sucked because it involved going to the hospital every morning and getting injected on your stomach. And so yeah, that was hard. And I remember my husband would make jokes about it. He would say that I have track marks like a drug dealer. Yeah, let me tell you, you need all the sense of humor you can get when you're going through certain challenges, especially, you know, challenges of conception. And so after the eggs have grown and they become many, there is an egg retrieval procedure. They go in and they remove these eggs. And so in my case, we had 12 after I think 2 weeks that we had been on hormones. I had been on hormones. And so they put me under and they retrieved the eggs. Around the same time, they also collect the sperm. And so they put together the sperm and the egg, and there goes, the embryos are made. And so the next procedure is them putting the embryos in you. Again, I can't remember what I went under for this procedure, but I do remember going back into the hospital and they put in 3 embryos. So natural selection comes into play here. By the time we started out, we had 12 eggs. 2 of them were not very well matured follicles, and so those could not be used. So out of these, 10 were then made into embryos, and then by the time the procedure was done, we had 5 healthy embryos. And so the implanted 3, again, it's about probability that in the event that one does not take, the other 2 will take. If the 2 don't take, at least 1 will take. And so this happened, and then I was put on 2 weeks of bed rest. Yeah, again, I was still taking medicine and the injections at home. I was doing this at home. My husband is a wuss. He couldn't, even my sister could not inject me. So I did it myself. But so after that, this 2 weeks is then now we went in for the blood test, which is really the blood pregnancy test. And so at this point, they're trying to see, are you pregnant, and what kind of support do you need from here on? And unfortunately for us, I wasn't pregnant, and that was very hard news to hear. And maybe that's a video for another day about talking about the mental and emotional issues that I struggled with after IVF. But for now, I want to go into telling you the emotional and mental, as well as the physical and financial. Let's talk about financial, because people imagine that financial is the biggest, but to be honest, I think it was the least. Now, unfortunately, most insurance companies do not cover IVF. That may have changed, so please speak with your insurance provider and see what is covered. It could be that they agree to pay half and you pay half. That would be awesome. But in our case, back then, the insurance was not covering it. So we went for the consultation and the whole procedure we paid for. Now, it's differently priced depending on the procedures you're going for. For some people, they need even the eggs from a donor egg, or they need sperm from a donor, and of course that increases the cost. So in our case, we had our own eggs, our own sperm, but I can't remember honestly. It was slightly shy of 500,000, if I remember correctly, and that's extremely expensive. And this is actually one of the reasons that Honorable Joyce Ley brought the bill to Parliament regarding trying to see how the cost of IVF can also be reduced. So that's the financial, and that was hard because we literally just sat outside the bank and laughed, because I think we had about 300 shillings in our account left, and we were like, we are ready to do this. We had lost 2 babies, we had been diagnosed with blocked tubes, and just before we had talked about adoption, but we had said, let's try this IVF thing that the doctors have recommended. If it doesn't work, we'll see where we go from there. And so this was something that we had to do, and so the putting of the money together. And then now here, the physical is that it takes a big toll on you as a woman, because hormones are not to play with. They are intense. It's kind of how you feel when you're on your period, but this is worse because they're injecting with hormones every single day, and so the bloatedness and having mood swings, just feeling like you're not yourself. And so yeah, I think that's a physical toll I'd really like to say. And of course, the procedures where you have to be put under, being on bed rest. So yeah, it has a physical toll. But I think the biggest is the emotional and mental toll, because when you're trying to conceive, there are all these factors, there are all these things you're feeling, all these emotions you've probably tried and tried and tried. And for one reason or another, you guys can't have a baby, at least not in the natural way, as it would be said. And so being ready to go through this procedure, you have to face a lot of inadequacies of this is something that should be happening in your home, in your bedroom, with the candles lit, in a romantic and personal way, and now it feels very sanitized in a lab, in petri dishes, and this doesn't feel very good. And to be honest, I would recommend talking to a therapist, talking to somebody about it, a close friend, people who are supporting you through this procedure. Have people who will rally with you in this. And finally, let me talk about my spiritual journey regarding IVF. Now, I had some very heavy discussions with my friends who are also born again like I am. And it was hard to convince them that IVF is something I felt God had led us to do. And I have to say here that everyone has their own journey. Some people struggle with conception and God directs them into foster care and adoption. Others decide they don't want to have children, like they're okay with not having kids at all. But I have to say that we prayed about it, we talked about it, we were on the same page about this matter, and that is where we felt led to do. I'm glad I did go into it even if it didn't work out, because I learned this thing that you cannot twist God into giving you kids. You can't. You honestly cannot, because at the end of the day, even when they are put in you, the embryos, they have to implant by themselves. The doctor cannot force that, you know. And many people will probably differ with that, but I experienced it. We were healthy. I think I was not even 30 at the time, so we were a good couple to have IVF work, but it didn't, you know. And of course, I do feel like that was a journey we needed to take. That's a journey I needed to take, because later we did get our son without even any medical intervention. And I felt God needed us to go through this even as a test of our faith. But I would like to say that this is a personal journey. You have to feel convinced, you have to feel ready. You and your partner need to be on the same page about this, because it's not an easy procedure. So yeah, if you'd like to hear more or have any specific questions, please write it in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer you. And please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.